This happened a few months ago. I was 32 and working as an aerospace technician at NASA. I took the night shift to help pay off my student loans. I liked my job, but being alone in the facility felt strange, especially in the dark. On my first night, I settled into my routine. I worked on old satellite parts in the clean room. The hum of machines filled the air, and everything felt normal. I thought I heard some tapping noises once, but I figured it was just an echo. I shook it off, but my skin prickled a little. My heart raced more than it should have. As the night rolled on, I heard the taps again. I glanced around the room. Nothing seemed out of place. The lights flickered for a moment. If I stood still, I felt a tiny chill against my back. I thought it was the air conditioning, but the tapping came again, closer this time. I told myself it was a machine act up, but deep down, I felt something else lurking in the dark. By my third night, I noticed strange whispers mixed with the taps. It sounded like someone was trying to speak. My hands shook as I grabbed my flashlight. I stepped out into the quiet hallway. The flickering lights cast shadows that moved. I could have sworn something darted past my eye. "Hello?" I called out. Only silence answered me. My breath came faster as the whispers returned, almost desperate. Were they drawn out by my presence? What was happening? On my fifth night, the noises grew louder, like they wanted me to listen. I followed them, hoping to find the source. The whispers became clearer, but I still couldn't make sense of them. My heart pounded in my chest. Then I saw something. A dark figure stood at the end of the hallway, just outside the light. I thought I could see eyes shining back at me. I froze. My feet didn't want to move. I tried to ask if it was okay, but the words stuck in my throat. Then, all at once, the whispers stopped. The lights flickered again. I blinked, and the figure was gone. I felt cold and lost. I didn't know what I saw that night, or if it was real. But I could not shake the feeling that something was watching me, that I was never truly alone in those dark halls. What really scared me was wondering what secrets were buried in NASA's walls. Why would something want to reach out? And why me? The thought still haunted me. I tried to tell myself it was just exhaustion, but I knew it felt more than that. Now I can't even work the night shift anymore. I can't shake that feeling of dread. Whatever was in that dark, I still don't know if it was just my imagination or something far worse. But I know one thing. NASA holds mysteries I might never uncover. Chapter 2. I decided it was time to do something about my fear. I couldn't let it rule my life, especially after only a few nights of unsettling experiences. So, I reached out to a colleague, Mark, who worked days. He was a friend and someone I trusted. I hoped he could help me make sense of what I had been through. The next evening, I met him outside the facility. The sun had set, and the shadows grew long. I told him everything. The taps, the whispers, the figure. I expected him to laugh it off, but his expression changed. He listened intently, then nodded. "Crazy stuff happens in this place at night," he said. "You're not the first to have weird experiences." I felt a rush of relief. Maybe I wasn't losing my mind. Mark shared a story of a technician who left his night shift early after hearing children's laughter echoing through the building. It sent chills down my spine. "You should bring someone with you. It might help," Mark suggested. I hesitated. Was I that scared? I nodded reluctantly. Having a friend by my side felt better than facing the dark alone. As we walked deeper into the conversation, he made a suggestion that surprised me. "Let's check out the control room. It's been abandoned for years, but I hear weird stuff there too." My heart raced at the thought. My previous nights were already too much to handle, but some part of me was curious. What could we find? We agreed to meet later that week during my next shift. Time passed slowly, and when the night finally arrived, I felt a mix of excitement and dread. Mark showed up right before my shift. He had a flashlight and a steady grin. "Let's do this," he said with confidence. We walked toward the control room, our footsteps echoing in the silence. Each flicker of the overhead lights made my skin crawl, but Mark moved ahead with determination. He shined the beam of his flashlight around, illuminating cracked screens and dusty old equipment. The air felt thick, as if trying to hold back something hidden. When we reached the center of the room, I could swear I heard faint whispers again, but I brushed it off. "It's just the wind," I said, trying to convince myself. Mark turned to face me. "Do you hear that?" he asked, suddenly serious. My heart started racing again. I nodded, feeling a chill creep up my spine. It wasn't the wind. Before I could ask what it was, we both heard a loud bang from the back of the room. We froze. The noise echoed like a thunderclap. My stomach dropped. I wanted to run, but Mark urged me quietly to stay. "Let's check it out," he whispered, eyes wide with adrenaline. We moved toward the back, my flashlight flickering slightly. That's when I saw it. A dark shape darting away through the shadows. I gasped, gripping Mark's arm. It was real. What was it? Who was there? My mind raced as dread pooled in my stomach. I felt Mark stiffen beside me, and I knew we were in for something terrifying. Then everything went dark. Chapter 3. My breath hitched in the pitch blackness. I blinked, trying to adjust, but nothing changed. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. The complete absence of light was suffocating, and for a moment, I feared I'd lost all sense of where I was. "Mark?" I whispered, my voice barely breaking the silence. There was no response. Panic surged through me. Had he seen the shape too? Did he even make it into the darkness with me? I waved the flashlight around, but nothing lit up. My fingers tightened around it, and I pressed the button again. The beam flickered one last time before dying completely. I felt a sinking feeling in my gut. We were not alone. A cold draft flicked against my skin, and the whispers returned, this time louder, more urgent. "Get out," I thought I heard them say. I shivered. Just then, I felt something brush past me, something cold and intangible. My instincts screamed to flee, but my feet felt rooted to the ground. I didn't want to move. With trembling hands, I reached into my pocket for my phone. The faint glow it threw was reassuring as I turned it on. It was enough to illuminate my immediate area. "Mark!" I called again, voice shaky. I spotted him crouched near the back wall, looking up at something. Fear clawed at me. "What is it?" I asked, though part of me wished I hadn't. He didn't respond. His wide eyes were fixed ahead. As I moved closer, I saw what he was staring at. A series of scratched marks etched into the wall, almost like a desperate attempt to communicate. They formed crude shapes, faces, and something that looked like a handprint. "What happened here?" I whispered, my voice trembling. Mark stood abruptly, his expression still frozen in shock. "I don't know, but it feels wrong." Suddenly the space around us vibrated with a low humming noise, escalating into a wail that pierced the silence. It was a cacophony of voices rising and falling, chanting almost. I clamped my hands over my ears, desperately wishing for quiet. "Now!" Mark shouted, gripping my arm. We turned to run, but as we dashed toward the exit, the heavy door slammed shut in front of us with a force that rattled the walls. I couldn't see anyone or anything, but the sound felt alive. The air thickened, and it was like being in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. "Help!" Mark bellowed, pounding on the door. I joined him, fear propelling me forward. My mind raced with thoughts of the strange shapes on the wall. What were they? Who had been here before us? Then the whispers changed. They morphed into a single, terrifying voice that echoed through the control room. "You shouldn't have come here." I froze, dread creeping over me like icy fingers. That voice, it was neither male nor female. It was just wrong. I turned to Mark, and he seemed just as paralyzed as I was. We were trapped, and we were not alone. Chapter 4. My heart raced as I felt the weight of the dark pressing in around us. The voice echoed in my mind, a twisted warning that made my skin crawl. I looked at Mark, who was still staring at the door, the terror etched on his face. "Mark, we need to find another way out of here," I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. He shook his head, still lost in thought. "Do you feel that?" he said, suddenly focused. "It's like the air. It's charged somehow." I could feel it too, a strange energy that made the hairs on my arms stand up. It pulled at me, urging me to move. "Let's check the room," I suggested, my voice barely above a whisper. We turned away from the door, circling back into the murky space. The glow from my phone light created shadows that danced along the walls. I focused on anything other than the heavy silence. I was desperate to find something, anything that might explain what was happening. As we moved along the wall, I noticed something glimmering near the floor. I knelt to get a closer look. It was a small metallic object half buried in dust. When I dusted it off, light reflected off a tarnished badge with familiar insignia. "This is from the facility," I said, a sense of dread creeping in. "But why is it here?" Mark leaned down, squinting at the badge. "This means someone else was here. Recently." Before I could respond, the wailing voices returned, swirling around us like a storm. I felt my stomach drop. They were louder, angrier. "Leave! Now!" they seemed to chant, and it sent a wave of panic crashing over me. "Let's go! Let's go!" I urged, scrambling to my feet, clutching the badge tightly. Mark nodded, and we hurried towards another wall, searching for something, anything, that could be an exit. But as we approached, movement caught my eye. I froze. A faint outline flickered in the shadows opposite us. My breath caught in my throat. "Mark," I said, voice trembling. "Do you see that?" He followed my gaze, and the flickering grew more pronounced, forming into a shape that was unnaturally tall and thin. It looked like a person, but its features were indistinct, almost blurred. "What is that?" Mark whispered, backing away slowly. I couldn't move. I felt like I was glued to the spot, as if whatever it was held power over me. My instincts told me to run, but curiosity rooted me in place. The shape shifted, and the air around us thickened with an overwhelming sense of dread. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from behind us. The door we had tried to escape through burst open. I spun around, heart racing. A beam of faint light illuminated the room, but I couldn't see beyond it. "Mark, we have to—" I started. But before I could finish, the shape lunged forward, moving with a speed that defied logic. Then everything went dark. I stumbled back, bumping into Mark, who was shouting something that I couldn't hear over the sudden roar of voices. The room felt unsteady, spinning, as if the very ground we stood on was pulling us down. I grasped his arm tightly. "What do we do?" I shouted, panic rising within me. He didn't answer. We were both frozen, waiting for whatever was lurking in the shadows to strike. And then, in the chaotic darkness, I felt something cold and skeletal grip my wrist. Chapter 5. The grip on my wrist tightened, sending a jolt of ice through my veins. I felt like I was going to explode from the fear. I wanted to pull away, but the hold felt like it was beyond my control, as if a force was binding me to that spot. "Mark!" I yelled, my voice cracking. I could barely hear him, just a muffled shout in the cacophony of voices. My heart thumped wildly in my chest. If I didn't act fast, we'd be trapped here forever. With everything I had, I yanked my arm away. To my shock, the grip let go. I stumbled backward, colliding into Mark, who looked equally terrified. "We need to find a way out," I gasped, breathing hard as the shadows around us twisted. I could still hear the angry whispers behind me, but they started to fade, replaced by a new sound. A grinding noise, like metal scraping against metal. "What was that?" Mark whispered, glancing nervously around. "I don't know, but we can't stay here," I replied, taking a tentative step toward the only source of light left in the room. It flickered just beyond the shadows. As we made our way, the whispers turned into a dissonant chant, echoing off the walls. It felt like they were urging us further into the dark. I clutched the badge tightly in my hand as if it could protect us. When we reached the light, I realized it was another door, slightly ajar. I pushed it open, revealing a long, narrow hallway that stretched beyond our view. The walls were damp and cold, and flickering fluorescent lights cast a sickly glow. "Should we go?" Mark asked, uncertainty written all over his face. I nodded, though doubt gnawed at me. I glanced back. The darkness seemed to cling to my skin. "We don't have a choice." We stepped into the hallway, and I felt the air shift. It was heavier here, charged with something ominous. A low humming vibrated through the floor, and I glanced at Mark. His eyes were wide with fear. "Something's wrong," he muttered. We moved cautiously, each step echoing into the unknown. Images flashed through my mind, what I'd seen, the badge, the thing that had gripped my wrist. It all felt like a puzzle, twisted and out of place. Then, as we turned a corner, the hum intensified, transforming into a loud thrum that seemed to resonate through my bones. A door at the far end of the hallway pulsated with a strange energy. "Do you hear that?" I asked, heart racing again. "It's coming from there," Mark pointed, his voice barely above a whisper. I could see shadows creeping beneath the door. They twisted and curled like smoke, beckoning us closer. "Let's check it out," I said, forcing courage into my voice even as dread washed over me. We approached the door slowly, feeling each heartbeat thunder in the silence. I reached out to grab the handle, my hand trembling, and then, without any warning, the door burst open. Chapter 6. The door slammed open, revealing a room bathed in a harsh white light that felt blinding in contrast to the dim hallway. My heart raced as I squinted, trying to make sense of what lay before us. "Step back," I shouted, instinctively pushing Mark behind me. My stomach dropped as I noticed the strange devices scattered across the floor. Machines whirred and beeped, some of them glowing with an unsettling energy. As I took a cautious step inside, I noticed something moving against the far wall. It was a figure, hunched over and obscured by shadows. I couldn't make out its face, but I could feel its gaze boring into me. "What is that?" Mark whispered, his voice trembling. "I don't know," I replied, raising my voice to steady my nerves. I took another step forward. "Hey, are you—" Before I could finish, the figure straightened up. It was a person, but something wasn't right. Its skin was pale, almost translucent, and its eyes, wide and unblinking, glinted with an icy light. I felt a chill crawl up my spine as if the temperature had dropped in an instant. The figure pointed at the floor, and I followed its gesture to see two strange symbols glowing faintly on the ground, pulsing in sync with the hum that had led us there. They looked like ancient markings, the kind you'd see in myths or tales long forgotten. "What are those?" Mark asked, already stepping back. "I have no idea," I said, my pulse quickening. "But I feel like we should." Suddenly, the light around us flickered violently, plunging the room into a strobe of darkness and light. The figure let out an ear-piercing shriek that echoed endlessly, and my instincts kicked in. "We need to go. Now!" I yelled, taking Mark's arm and pulling him back toward the door. But as we turned, the once inviting hallway was now a wall of shadows. It was as if the darkness had come to life, reaching out with cold fingers to pull us back in. The whispers grew louder, frantic, and filled with rage. "Don't let it take us," Mark shouted, panic etched on his face. I could feel something pressing against my chest, an invisible weight urging me to stay. "We can't fight it," I gasped, dropping the badge. It clattered to the ground, the light around it flickering as if in response to our fear. "Just hold on to me," Mark cried. We dashed back toward the figure, hoping for an answer or a way out. But it only stood there, watching, not moving. I felt the air shift again, thick with dread. That's when I saw it, a pathway opening up in the wall behind the figure. A small glowing door appeared like a mirage. "Over there!" I shouted, pointing. Without another moment of hesitation, we sprinted towards it as the darkness reached out for us with desperate claws, each step feeling heavier, dragging down my resolve. Just as we reached the glowing door, a piercing scream erupted from the figure. Then everything went dark. I gasped for breath, my heart racing as blackness engulfed us, and I realized we weren't just running from something. We were being chased. Chapter 7. I opened my eyes to a different kind of light. It was soft and warm, gently illuminating the space around us. I blinked, trying to get my bearings. Mark lay beside me, his brows furrowed with confusion, and it took a moment for reality to settle in. "Where are we?" I asked, my voice hoarse. The last thing I remembered was the darkness swallowing us whole. I pushed myself up, and we were on a grassy hillside surrounded by towering trees. The air felt fresh, yet charged, like the calm before a storm. My heart still raced, but there was no sign of the figure or the terror from the lab. I don't know, Mark murmured, rubbing his eyes. I thought we'd never get out of there. I scanned the area, searching for any clues about what had happened. A faint sound reached my ears, a rustling, distant, but rhythmic. It didn't sound like wind. It was more like a heartbeat, pulsing softly through the ground. "Do you hear that?" I asked. Mark nodded, his expression growing serious. We stood slowly, brushing dirt off our clothes. I felt a pull toward the sound, like it was calling me, but the instinct to run crept in again. "We should follow it," I said, even though my gut twisted at the thought. As we walked, the trees began to close in around us. Shadows danced in the corners of my vision, and I was painfully aware of how alone we felt. The faint heartbeat grew louder, more pronounced, almost too loud to be natural. Then I saw it, a clearing up ahead. I glanced at Mark, who looked just as tense. "Ready?" I whispered. He nodded, and we stepped into the light. What lay before us took my breath away. A massive stone circle stood in the center, its walls lined with the same glowing symbols we had seen in the lab. They pulsed rhythmically, echoing the strange heartbeat we had followed here. But that wasn't all. In the middle of the circle, a pedestal rose from the ground, and atop it rested a small, ornate box. "Do you think—" Mark started, but I shook my head. "We have to be careful." As I took a step closer, the heartbeat intensified, and the symbols began to sparkle with an unnatural brightness. I felt an electric thrill run through me. "What if it's a trap?" I said, my voice barely more than a whisper. "I don't care," Mark replied with determination. "We have to find out what this is. We can't just leave." Against my better judgment, I stepped closer to the box. Its surface was dark, perhaps made of obsidian, and I could see faint etchings lining its sides. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the clearing, tossing our hair back and causing the symbols to flare brightly. In that moment, the box sprang open with a loud snap. My breath caught in my throat. A shimmer of light spilled out, forming a shape that hovered above the pedestal. And then, as if pulled by gravity, it shot toward us. "Run!" I screamed, grabbing Mark's arm, but it was too late. The light enveloped me, and all my senses faded. For a fleeting moment, I felt weightless, suspended between fear and curiosity. Then everything shattered, and once again, I was swallowed by darkness. Chapter 8. I came to again, this time on the ground, tangled in tall grass. The air felt heavy around me, a stark contrast to the soft light I had just experienced. My heart thumped in my chest at the memory of the light enveloping me. "Mark!" I called out, my voice cracking. Panic surged as I pushed myself upright. I scanned the dim surroundings. Trees loomed, casting long shadows over the clearing. "Over here!" came his voice, shaky but alive. I rushed toward him, relief flooding through me when I saw him sitting on the ground, a hand pressed against his forehead. "What happened?" he asked, almost breathless. "I don't know. The box. It just—" Suddenly a low growl reverberated through the clearing. Instinctively I ducked, my body coiling with fear. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. Mark nodded, eyes wide. The growl sounded closer this time, almost like it was circling us. "We need to get moving," he said, scrambling to his feet. I stood too, adrenaline coursing through my veins. We took a few cautious steps towards the edge of the clearing when I noticed something shimmering in the grass near the pedestal. It was small, glinting faintly in the filtered light. "What's that?" I pointed. Mark frowned. "We don't have time." But curiosity pulled me closer. I bent down to pick it up. It was a key, intricately designed, its metal cool against my palm. "What if it's for the box?" I suggested. Mark's eyes darted around us. "And what if something is after us? We need answers, not more questions." Another growl echoed through the woods, sounding angrier this time. My chest tightened. "What if it leads us to safety?" He hesitated, glancing at the still open box that now seemed ominously dark. All right, let's see where it leads. We slipped back into the shadows of the trees, keeping low as we moved away from the clearing. My heart raced with every step, half expecting something to pounce from the underbrush. The trees opened up into a narrow path, winding deeper into the woods. I held the key tightly, a sense of purpose gripping me. Do you think the rhythm we heard is part of this place? Maybe it connects to whatever's here, Mark said. Or whatever's after us. Just as we turned a corner, the air shifted. I felt a tingle run down my spine, and the heartbeat grew louder, thrumming beneath us. Mark stopped abruptly, gripping my arm. Look. I followed his gaze. A shadow moved behind the trunks, blending into the darkness. Something was watching us, I was certain of it. What is that? I whispered, voice barely a breath. The growl erupted again, and this time, I could see a pair of glowing eyes fixated on us. Run! Mark shouted, pulling me forward. We dashed down the path, but the shadows closed in fast. The air crackled with tension, and with every heartbeat I felt the weight of something following us. That's when I stumbled into a clearing filled with strange symbols carved into massive stones. The rhythm surged around us, echoing from the stones, and in the center, a familiar pedestal awaited us. What do we do? I gasped, searching for the key. Mark looked around, panic etched across his face. I don't know. We need to figure this out now. Then everything went dark again. Except this time, there was no silence. No moment to catch my breath. Only a whisper that chilled me to the bone. Find me before it's too late. Chapter 9. I blinked rapidly, trying to shake off the darkness. The whisper still echoed in my mind, sending chills down my spine. I stumbled back, almost pulling Mark with me. What was that? I gasped, my voice shaking. I don't know, he replied, scanning the trees around us. We need to do something. I turned, searching the clearing for the key. It felt like a lifeline amid the encroaching terror. Here! I shouted, finally spotting it catching the dim light under a stone. Mark's eyes widened. Hurry, before whatever that is finds us. I lunged for the key, fingers gripping it tightly. What do these symbols mean? I wondered aloud, tracing a strange symbol that looked like a spiral. Mark's focus shifted. It's like they're alive. Can you feel that? I nodded. The vibrations felt like they were flowing through the ground into my feet. It's pulsing with the heartbeat, I said, heart racing. Each beat echoed in the air, syncing with the rhythm of fear that thrummed in my veins. The shadows shifted again, and I quickly stood, key pressed against my chest. What if this unlocks something? Like what? A door? A trap? Because I'd prefer not to find out. Just then, I spotted something. A faint glimmer in the grove behind the stones. My breath caught. Mark, look over there! Before I could finish, a low growl erupted from the underbrush. The terrifying sound sent us both into motion again. We darted toward the symbols, the glowing eyes still haunting our escape. The pulse grew stronger as we reached the stones. As I got closer, the air around us crackled with energy. I hesitated, looking back at Mark. Should we try it? Only if you want to end up as the main course, he shot back, his face pale but determined. I felt heat radiate from the altar-like pedestal. Clutching the key, I approached it, heart pounding. Whatever happens, we need to do it now. As I slid the key into the keyhole embedded in the pedestal, the growl transformed into a roar that shattered the silence. The ground shook beneath us, jarring me. Did you do that? Mark shouted, gripping my shoulder. I think so, I yelled back, twisting the key. It fit perfectly, as if it had always belonged there. Cold metal turned warm in my palm. With a deep click, the pedestal responded. A cascade of light surged upward, illuminating the clearing. The shadows retreated momentarily, revealing more symbols, and for a brief instant, I thought I could see a face in the glow, familiar and yet completely foreign. Look! Mark pointed at the pale figure emerging from the light, stretching out a hand toward us. What did I just unlock? The fear inside me transformed into something dangerous. I had no idea what came next, but I felt a connection to the figure, as if it had been waiting for us. Find me before it's too late, The whisper echoed again, louder this time. Then the clearing plunged back into darkness, the figure disappearing as quickly as it had come. I felt an overwhelming dread crash into me. What just happened? Mark's voice trembled beside me. I don't know, but whatever was watching us is still here. The darkness swallowed us once again, a weight pressing down on my chest. A moment later, the oppressive silence shattered with a sharp crack, followed by a rush of air that made my hair stand on end. In an instant, the light surged back. I squinted, trying to regain my bearings as the shadows receded. We were still in the clearing, but now the atmosphere felt charged, alive with energy. The pedestal stood before us, glowing brighter than ever, as if responding to our fear. The whispers had quieted to a low hum, resonating through the ground, but the sensation of being watched slithered back into my mind. Do you think whatever we saw is still here? Mark asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I can't shake the feeling that it is, I replied. But we have to keep moving. I don't want to find out what's lurking in the shadows. Taking a deep breath, we approached the pedestal again, the key still in my hand. The symbols carved into the massive stones seemed to pulse in rhythm with the heartbeat we had felt earlier. I hesitated, wondering if I should turn back, but then I remembered the glowing figure. I had felt a connection to it, even in this chaos. Let's try to focus on it. Maybe it can help us, I suggested, my voice steadier than I felt. Mark nodded, determination in his eyes. We placed our hands on the pedestal, our palms resting on the cool stone. A rush of energy surged through us, illuminating each symbol in a brilliant glow that chased away some shadows. Can you feel that? I asked. Yeah, he replied breathlessly. It's like it wants us to do something. I closed my eyes, letting my instincts guide me. In that moment, flashes of images filled my mind. Starlit skies, whispers of long-lost voices, and the faces of children trapped in despair. Disjointed snippets of dreams long buried resurfaced, like the waves of the ocean. Find me, I murmured, echoing the words that hung in the air. That's what it's trying to tell us. Suddenly, the hum transformed into a clear voice, insistent yet distant. Trust the key. We dropped our hands, and I turned the key in my palm, a surge of clarity washing over me. We can't leave not knowing, I said resolutely. Mark agreed, gripping my arm tighter as fear surged through him. Let's do this. With shaking hands, I slid the key into the slot, twisting it one last time. The ground beneath us trembled violently as a blinding light exploded from the pedestal. Mark and I staggered back, shielding our eyes. As the brightness filled the clearing, I caught glimpses of the figures from my visions. They emerged from the shadows, eyes wide with curiosity, faces of anguish morphing into expressions of hope. Was this the call I had felt? But just as the warmth of light surrounded us, that familiar growl pierced the atmosphere again. No! I shouted. Not again! The clearing darkened, swirling shadows coalescing into a figure. It lunged toward us and my instincts kicked in. I grabbed Mark, pulling him toward the portal that had opened up in the light. Go! I shouted as the shadows lunged closer. We bolted through the threshold, surrounded by shimmering light. As we tumbled out, the world warped around us, the feeling of being pulled between spaces. Suddenly, the light disappeared. I gasped as I landed hard against a cold floor, gasping for breath. We lay sprawled in a darkened hallway, still in NASA but somewhere deeper, hidden away from the familiar. My gaze darted around. The whispers were gone, the growls fading into memory. Did we make it? I breathed, glancing over at Mark. He sat up slowly, still blinking against the darkness. I think so, but what about the light? The figures? I don't know, I muttered, trying to catch my breath. But I feel different. Like something's changed inside. We stood, brushing off dust and regaining our composure. My heart still raced, memories flashing through my mind like strobe lights, questions swirling about what we had experienced and whether it had been real. I don't think we can explain it, I said, a sense of apprehension washing over me. Mark gave me a sideways glance, his expression unreadable. We should get out of here before it changes again. For now, we felt safe, yet unease coated the edges of our perception. As we moved deeper into the facility, I couldn't help but wonder if that dark figure would forever linger in the shadows, or if the mysteries of that night would remain unsolved. Whatever the truth, I knew one thing for sure. I had crossed the line into something beyond comprehension, and it had left its mark on me. I moved away from that place, but I could still sense hints of the strange energy that's forever woven into the very fabric of NASA, a testament to dark secrets and questions that might remain unanswered.